listening to TalkTainmentRadio.com.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Hello, this is TalkTainmentRadio.com, and I'm your host, DR.BASE Claude Smith. And today, this evening, I got a beautiful guest, and her name is Dr. Deborah CLAYTON. She's a professor of nursing, retired professor of nursing. We're going to be talking about mental health, high blood pressure, anything that, and if you feel like you want to call and ask questions, call me at 614-394-6677, 614-394-6677, and we'll be glad to answer your question. Dr. CLAYTON?
Good evening. I guess I'll just say a little bit about me. Okay, so I've been a nurse since 1976, and I've worked at Capital University here in Columbus, Ohio, as well as Mount Carmel College of Nursing. Right now, I am retired. I do teaching for ATI, which helps to prepare nurses or future nurses of America to take their state boards and become registered. And so that is what I am currently doing. I'd like to give a shout out to my niece, Simone Chapman. She just graduated from Hiram College with her degree. She got a dual degree in psychology and sociology, and she's got a job working with autistic children doing behavioral care for them. So I'm very, very proud of her.
Oh, okay, thank you. And I'd like to give my shout out to Praise Temple, and I also like to say Stairway To Heaven is brought to you by the Sensational Keys of Harmony and Praise Temple. My sisters, Morgan Shirley, Pastor Brown, Pastor Mike, and also Bruce Fletcher. I also like to say that my friend that is really, he just placed his wife, married his wife today, Sonny Miller. He just buried Sylvia. And Sylvia was both of them were good friends of mine. And like I say a little thing, Sonny, hang in there, hold your head up. You gonna make it. 'Cause you two, when you two are together, y'all kept me laughing. I mean, we can be going somewhere, come from rehearsal, and I can remember Sylvia telling Sonny, if he don't get home, she gonna get him. And I mean, she was a sweet, charming, nicest lady you ever want to meet. So my heart goes to Sonny Miller and his family. I also like to say to y'all, as I said before, we're going to speak on mental health and some other things that may come up, but I'm going to let Dr. CLAYTON answer the questions. And the first question I would like to ask you, Doctor, is who's had the highest rating in mental illness?
Black people are more prone to mental illness and less likely to actually get mental health care. So when we look at the care that they get, we need to have more people, first of all, practitioners who look like them. We need to have people who are competent in African American culture, history, acknowledging racism, systemic as well as microaggression, and how that affects people. And we can go even back to slavery and the fact that Black people have been belittled throughout the history in the United States. All of that is a part of why Black people are more prone to mental health issues. Also, reason why we have less competent care to people with mental illness who are African American and of other cultures and minority and underserved populations. We also can look at the fact that they look at trauma that's generational, and they've actually looked at some of the fact that people who have had trauma in their lives, it actually is genetic, and so it is passed down genetically.
So, in other words, there is no cause for mental illness. It's just come on to you, or does it? Is it through stress?
So it can be related to, like I was talking about, the stress related to racism and poverty, and just going to, if you have a job, going to the job and feeling belittled by people that you work with. Low socioeconomic status, so not getting basic needs met can also result in mental health, in mental illnesses.
Oh, okay. Does it have anything to do with mental health? Does Alzheimer's or dementia have anything to do with mental health?
Alzheimer's is actually a disease that is caused by Lewy bodies or plaque buildup in the brain. So it's a physiological cause for Alzheimer's. Okay. Alzheimer's can also be caused by drugs that people are on. For example, they may be prescribed some medications that cause a person to exhibit Alzheimer's symptoms, but they don't necessarily have Alzheimer's. Or somebody who may have had a head injury, they can also do it. So if you find out what the cause is and you eliminate that cause, then those signs and symptoms of Alzheimer's disappear. Okay. The other Alzheimer's, nothing you can do to get rid of it. I mean, it's a progressive illness, so a person goes from forgetting words and names of people to forgetting who their siblings are, their husbands, all of that, how to count, how to grocery shop, or figure out how much money they are, or even who they are and where they are. So they continuously and progressively get worse to where they're not able to take care of themselves, and they need to have somebody there to keep them safe in their home, or if they decide to take them to a memory care unit.
Okay. What about the violence parts of it? Does it cause what makes them so violent and so?
So some people do become aggressive or violent, as you said. It's not necessarily a part of everybody who gets Alzheimer's is not going to become aggressive. So some of them can be, they can get some medications that can help with those, that aggression. But a lot of times the aggression is caused by somebody trying to tell them what to do. So if you think of, if somebody were to come to you, grab you, and tell you to do something, and you're not ready to do it, you might tell them, I'm not ready to do it. But if they decide, I want you to do it, and I want you to do it right now, that can cause some aggressiveness in the person. So if you're working with somebody at home or, at a memory care unit, you have to remember to treat them like you would treat anybody else. So if they don't like getting up first thing in the morning and taking their bath or whatever, and I know people have schedules that they want to do those things at a certain time, but if that person who has Alzheimer's is not ready, then you can't, if you force them, they will get aggressive. So if you're caring for a loved one at home who has Alzheimer's and you're ready to give them a bath and they're not ready for it, come back in 5 minutes. Sometimes they will forget that they said no. So then you can get them to do more things, and they are not so aggressive.
Because I have a friend of mine that I believe he has that Alzheimer's, and he forgets who I am sometimes. I calls him, say I'm on my way, I'll be upstairs in a few minutes, okay. And then sometimes when I leave him, he'll come knocking on my door like maybe 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Does that is it where they have some type of fear, because he do get scared or something, like storms or.
So it sounds like he's having that memory loss that is progressive, like I said, in the disease, to where they get to the point they don't know anything, they don't speak, they don't do much of anything. And there's also what is called sundown syndrome. So as it gets dark, just about all people with Alzheimer's have that sundown syndrome, where they get more confused, and they want to maybe go somewhere else. So if they're in the home, they may want to pack their bags literally and say, I'm leaving, this is not where I live. Or they just want to they may get up in the middle of the night and start trying to cook dinner. It may not be a sensible thing. They may be putting cottage cheese in a skillet with orange juice and, those kind of things. But if that's something that they've done all their lives, they may begin to try to do those things. So that is part of Alzheimer's, and it's a progression. It's one of those, like probably stage 3 Alzheimer's.
Okay. So, okay.
And that's where you get people where they'll say, you'll hear on the news, or they left and they went out in the middle of the night and they froze, or, they didn't have on the proper clothing, those kinds of things. That is a part of, progression of Alzheimer's, as well as that sundown syndrome. They just want to get out and move because they don't know who they are or where they are. They a lot of times do remember themselves, but they don't know where they are, and to them they're in a strange place, and they need to get away from it and get to a safe place. And wherever they are is not that safe place. So if that person is used to you, then what they will do is, like you were saying, you'll come down to your house and knock on the door, because they know you give them security. They know your face. They might not know your name, but they do feel secure with you, and that's why he would come down to your house, knock on the door, and do those kinds of things.
Because sometimes I'll go to his house, and he would say he thinks somebody's in that house with him.
Yes.
And I hear that all the time.
Yes.
You see that man there, that lady there, and my mother, she used to be a nurse, and my grandfather, she told me, say, whatever they say, you got to agree.
Absolutely. You do not want to upset a person with Alzheimer's and some other mental health diseases as well. He is literally seeing things. So he has delusions. He has illusions that he sees, and it's real to him. Sometimes they'll hear children outside that they want to go out and talk to them, or it sounds as if he is afraid of who he sees. So if he sees them and he's afraid and he's talking to you about them, he might not say, I'm afraid. But if he continues to talk about them a lot, you have to kind of comfort them, to let them know, they're not here, they're not going to bother you, or whatever you need to do to make him feel safe.
Yeah, because he always asks me, do they come down your house or something? I say, yeah, but they don't bother me. I do this. And then he asked me something. He'll say, well, won't you stay all night with me tonight? I said, okay, I will. And not have to stay 3 or 4 nights with him. Time, then he just doesn't want to be lonely half the time. I mean, his sons, sons of the friends of mine, and they'll come there, sit with him, and they'll call me. Is Dad okay? I said, yeah, Dad's all right. And then, I just said, well, but last night they gonna move him somewhere else, and he kept asking me, you gonna come and see me? I said, yes, I will be coming to see you, so don't worry about it, because I know where they gonna put him at.
Yeah.
And I said, I will get off work and come and see you. So you never know. I'll probably get off work one day, pop over to sit with you after I get rid, then I'm going home. But it's just a thing that when I said, great, go home.
You're the most constant thing in his life, and so you've become pretty important to him. When he goes to a care facility, he will probably be very confused.
Okay.
And he will have to get used to it because he's used to his home and what's in it and the people in it or not people in it, or the stove is or the bathroom is, all that kind of stuff. And so they don't do well in new environments. So the more people who come to see him, his children to come see him to kind of help him with that transition, and hopefully he's going to a place that will help him with that transition, and they understand what happens when somebody comes who has Alzheimer's disease to a memory unit and needs to have that comfort, those comfort measures, and they'll give him what he needs to have done.
Yeah, because he lost his wife about 2 years ago, and he lost his daughter about a month ago. And he talks more about his wife more, and I think he's grieving over that. And I think he'll come back to that. Then they'll ask me, "You work today?" I said, "Yeah, I work today." What time you get off? I missed about 2 or 3 times, and I know what it is because.
And that's real common too for them to say the same thing over and over and over and over again. My mother had Alzheimer's, and my father he would get frustrated because she would ask the same things over and over again. So he would say, he'd call me up and say, "Here, talk to your mother." And she would tell me things, and she would say it once, and then she'd say it twice, and then I'd ask her a question, and she'd come back to that exact same thing. And that is a part of Alzheimer's. That's what they do. They don't remember what they said. They might not remember what they ate or what they had to drink. And so they'll continue to eat. They'll continue to drink because they don't remember what they said or what they did. So he's being very typical of somebody who has Alzheimer's. And they need, if you're talking to them, not to be argumentative. Like you were saying, you just go with what they're saying, whether you agree with them or not. You just kind of, if they're saying something that they're frightened, you want to comfort them with that. But otherwise, you just go with the flow and, don't fight them or tell them what they're saying is wrong or nobody's there or those kinds of things.
Look, I noticed that when people found out that a loved one has that Alzheimer's dementia, they don't want to admit to it. They try to hide it. It's sort of like I don't think it's something to watch, but I don't think you should feel embarrassed about it because your personality has got someone who has it.
Yeah, I think it's more that people want to deny it that is happening. My mother showed symptoms of Alzheimer's, and I know I'm talking about her a lot, but she's a good example. She's a classic example of Alzheimer's, but she had early symptoms, and I told my father that, I think she's forgetting too much, you take her to a doctor and see what the doctor says, and doctor said, "Oh, she's all right. And so that went on for like 3 years, and finally I said, I want her to have a neurological exam. And so he did something about her hand, a neurological exam on her hand. He was their age. He had been their doctor since they were the same age, so very young. And he did not want to admit, but it was inadequate care. He was really not giving my mother the care that she needed so that she could get the help as soon as possible. So my father ended up taking care of her until he died, and then on his deathbed, literally, I promised that I would take care of her. So I left Columbus and my job and everything, and for 4 years, I just took care of her. No job, no anything, because I couldn't do the job and take care of her. So I realized how much he had gone through with her, the anxiety, the stress, the restlessness, the restless nights, all of those kind of things go along with it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm beginning to understand it a little bit more. A little bit more because, the guy to me the guy to me is just like he seems like a elderly uncle to me. And first time I knew him been knowing him for a long time, and I found out he had that. And I would just go in my apartment and stay in something. Say, you know what? One of these days, put yourself in his place. And they say, well, how would you feel? You would probably be lonely too. And that's why we're going up there every day, kind of hanging there with him. Sometimes he's one of the greatest guys you ever want to meet. The greatest one of guys you really ever want to meet and want to be with. And he keeps you laughing and everything. He jokes a lot. He doesn't. To him, it's just like, okay, I know I got this, but I'm not gonna let it bother me. I'm gonna go ahead, and he jokes a lot. This and that. But
yeah, he's in. It sounds like he's about in the second or third stage of Alzheimer's, because he is aware of who he is, and he has some memories that are correct, because sometimes people with Alzheimer's will tell you, oh yeah, I used to live over there, or they say things, it's like, well, that's not true. But as I said, you don't argue with him, so he still has some memories that are correct. And sometimes you can just start telling him stories that you share with him that made him happy and that made you happy too. When he is distressed or when he's trying to remember things, that gives some pleasant memories for him that he can have, and the two of you can share and laugh and do all those kind of things.
Yeah, because he asked me, he said, I was raised, he said, I had to work all my life, just pick cotton from sundown.
Wow.
He always asked me, where you from? I tell him where I'm from. He said, did you ever pick? I said, I'm of city. I'm not a country boy.
Exactly, yeah.
And we laughed, and I think about it when I say I'm on my way up, or I call him or something like that. And I'm not, who are you? But he realized who I am. But I feel sorry for him. I really do.
And it's a hard disease for people to get around, because denial of it is so strong. Nobody wants to believe that a loved one or a friend has that, because it becomes so debilitating to them. So a person who was lively and getting around and liked go shopping or go out to eat or play the bass or whatever, and then all of a sudden they're not able to do anything like that. I had a friend who said, I went to my friend and she, to talk to her, and she wasn't there. It's like she's not her anymore. And that is hard for families to actually acknowledge that this is not the person that they used to be, because they're not. They're somebody else. So you have to reimagine that person and accept who they are, which is sometimes too hard or very hard for families to accept, family and friends. And it's like, no, she doesn't have that. Look, she knows me. Next time you come, they don't know you, or all of those things that person is no longer there. And that's a hard thing to accept. My father had a really hard time. I could see tears in his eyes, because she didn't want him to touch her. And they always, were touching and feely kind of people, and, real active. And all of a sudden she wasn't. She couldn't drive the car. She couldn't do anything. So that's really hard on families.
Yeah, because my late brother-in-law had it. He had it, and my sister called me and told me that he had it. She found out about it when he told her that I was at his house, sleeping on the floor. And she said, "Let me talk to him." And he said, "I ain't gonna wake him up." So she called and told me, asked me. I said, "I'm at home." I said, "I'll be down in Cincinnati 3 more weeks." She said, "Okay, Junior." She said, "I understand." Then she called back and told me, crying, say, "Junior, he got dementia." And I told her, I said, "Don't worry about it." I said, and she really hanging out with him and stuck with him. Although she had a second job working at night, my son would come there and stay with him. Well, my son stayed with him at night, and I go down there and stay with him at night. And
Yeah. And see, that is, when they start doing that, he's been exhibiting symptoms way before that. And that is what I was saying about Alzheimer's, is that very often those cues at the beginning are ignored because we don't want to accept that that person may have Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is the fourth leading cause of death in the Black community. So, like cancer, I'm a top three, cancer and heart disease. Heart disease is number one for everybody, and then we got cancer. So it's the fourth leading cause of death, and if we get people on medications that can slow down the disease process, the sooner we do that, then the longer they can live and longer they can be themselves. And so that's why it is really important that we acknowledge, hey, they might have it. Let's go to the doctor and see.
Right.
Every year, I'm 72, like I said, there's an exam that Medicare pays for. You go in, you have your exam, physical exam every single year. Medicare saying, go get it. And they will test you for your memory every single year for that. And if there's something that is off, they will make you go do those referrals. We've talked about referrals before. And you go one place and they say you need to go here and here and here so that they can be evaluated. And so I can't stress enough how important it is to get those medications as soon as possible. Because if you do that, the longer you will have your loved one with you as they were originally. So it can't stop it, but it certainly can slow the progression of that disease.
So there is medication.
There is medication. There's a lot of medications that they can try on them. If one doesn't work, then another one might be able to help. So you don't need to give up on that person.
Mm-hmm. But will there ever be a cure for that?
Well, we always say we hope there's a cure for something. There hasn't been many cures for hardly anything because pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
If we give them a drug, why are we going to look for a cure?
Right.
But I think baby boomer researchers and Gen X researchers, we're at that age, and so doing a lot of things, looking at curing, finding medications and all those kind of things. Baby boomers were the ones who had hepatitis B, right? And so we got a cure for Hep B. They're like, look, stop we don't want to die. And those researchers were us. And so the disease, Alzheimer's, there's been a lot of research and treatment regimens for Alzheimer's disease. So there's been a lot of progression for that. About every other year, every 2 or 3 years, there's a new medication that comes out to help people who have Alzheimer's. So yeah, there's some pharmaceuticals. The cure is not here, and it doesn't look like it'll be here for a while. So using those pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, I see they still working on it.
Always some research.
It seems like our race gets more
everything.
Just about everything.
Yes.
I think we're the only race that gets all the diseases and all the other cousins. I mean, I'm not just in our race, but there's other races too. Like even although in overseas, they got some disease over there haven't even got here yet.
But yeah, I agree with you. We do have a higher percentage of just about every disease process. So yes, if we look, and we're compared to whites. So when we compare to whites, we have I don't know what the numbers are, but a higher percentage, like a 1.5 times more likely to have Alzheimer's, as a matter of fact. So twice as likely almost to have Alzheimer's. And the other thing that I know that when we talk about research, Black people usually go, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. But the thing is, if we don't participate in research, all the research that's being done is for middle class white people, usually men. They have women in there, but all medicine does not work the same on us, especially if we look at mental illness. Some of those medications just don't work for us. So you do have to look at some racial differences when we're looking at how do black people respond to certain medications, what does work and what doesn't work. Same thing with blood pressure medications. Some blood pressure medications just don't work for us. And the only way we know that is if we do the research. Because otherwise they just give us the medicine, it's not working. It's like, well, let's try this. Sometimes people just don't take it. Right? And so you end up with a stroke, or you end up with all these other things because you didn't take it because it wasn't working. When in reality, you could have gotten some other medication that may have been more effective for you.
Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And thank you, Deborah, for coming. For now, I like to say, remember, the mind's not the problem.